Hey everybody, thank you for coming to this week's video blog. My name is Robert Rico. Today we have a great guest. You don't want to miss this one. We have Mrs. Alicia Shepherd, a spectacular expert in the commercial industry. If you want to get in that field, pay attention. It's going to be a great one for you. So when you went to college, that was like your passion?
Singing was my passion, and then I had to take theory and composition classes as a music major. And as I got into that, I was horrible at the theory, but I loved building a song. And I was really drawn to it. And I had a professor who was like, you're all right at this. And I was like, well, thanks. He was like, you should email it to this person that I know. And that person sent it and sent it and sent it. And so they picked up one song and it went great. And then they came and talked to me a little bit about well, what would you think about joining? Can you write like this all the time? And I was like, yeah, I think so. I didn't really know what that meant. So I started trying to challenge myself to write a song a month, which at the time felt like a huge goal. And then
a song a month, that sounds like, wow, what the hell?
Just wait. And so a song a month was what I was doing. They were like, we would need you to essentially be able to do 4 or 5 a week. Could you do that? And I was like, no.
So write a song from scratch.
So they went away, and then I upped my chops, and then I submitted another one through the same chain of emails, and they were like, look, you got another one to us. We're paying attention. Probably not going to come back for too many more of these conversations. And so I talked with my parents about it and was like, probably time to quit school and move to LA. Give it a shot, because I had 2 songs picked up at that point. So I moved out.
So where were you from?
Houston. I was going to school in Dallas, but I grew up in Houston.
Got it. Okay.
And so moved out, worked at Starbucks starting out because I had no idea what to expect from royalties or income or anything like that. And then it just started taking off, did its thing. And then I got in with them.
What do you mean taking off? What do you mean taking
off? So it's interesting. Sales in real estate is very similar to sales.
Okay, hold on. Before we even get there, we're on right now, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. We've been on. I like to make this. We like to make this as organic as possible.
I love it.
So wait a minute. Before you get to real estate, you're jumping ahead big time. Hold on. So your passion was, as a younger person, was music.
Yeah.
Singing, opera, cool
Yeah.
stuff. I love it. Then you said, I'm going to LA.
That's it.
Came to LA.
Took a leap of faith.
I love that. Did leap of faith. Did the Starbucks deal just to get by.
Get going and performed a lot. Put songs out there as much as I could. And when you're in a staff songwriter position, it's at least the one I was in, it was very much like a blind call. Here's what we're looking for. Everyone take a shot at it. We'll see who gets picked up. And so it made me up my chops where I moved from writing a song a month to a song a week to increasing to a song a day. And I really looked at the analytics almost of a song, what was happening in the songs I wrote that got picked up, and how could I replicate that quickly to increase my speed. So I essentially broke down this is the recipe, if you will, for quickly writing a song. And so as I upped that, then it's quantity or quality. And so I went for quantity and threw as much at the wall as I could, saw what stuck, rewrote where I needed to, and then went from there.
I'm curious, so what did you write about? I mean, you had read so many songs. What did you just come up and say?
Anything and everything. I would talk about my own life experiences of those around me that they shared, things I saw on TV shows. I mean, I would think a lot about, we watch TV, right? And most TV or movies have soundtrack and background. So what were the scenes that were happening in those that would need songs to support them? What would be the dreamy song that lightly floats in the background to support the scene and create that emotional pull that you're looking for? So it was crafting the relationship between the visual and the audio. And I got really good at that. And so I spent about almost 5 years touring, nearly full time, where I was out on the road. I would write with people, perform, and then at points I always lovingly joke pretty much lived out of my car or on buses, and that was exhausting.
Yeah.
But it was good. And then
it sounds like throughout this whole time, business hasn't even crossed your mind yet.
No,
right?
No, nowhere.
You're on.
I mean, and I didn't even realize that I was using a business mind to do what I did in songwriting. But to support myself and ensure that I had the income level to support myself living in LA, at the same time I was offering private lessons and marketing for that. I had launched and started a music school that I didn't even realize that's what I had done until I was 8 months into it. I thought I was just helping friends learn how to get students to book music lessons with. And when I stepped back and looked, I was like, wow, like one of them said like, oh, you've got a great school. I was like, what do you mean I have a great school?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just helping you guys get students. And I look back and I'm like, well, dang, I do have a school. Like there's a platform and a system, and like the business sense kind of like found its way to me, whether I acknowledged it or not.
So it was an accident that you ran into business, or business ran into you?
Total.
Really?
Unintentional. This hippy-dippy chick was not looking out for business,
Yeah,
right?
I'm trying to put it together, because typically most people who are in the entertainment business, I don't think they think about business as a career.
Definitely not.
So yours,
Very few.
So you cross paths with business. Business is now here in front of you. When did you say, you know what, I'm all in, man. This could work for me. And don't get into the commercial part yet, because I want to take some time with the commercial part, because that's going to be the meat and potatoes of this whole conversation. So your business comes, what do you do?
So it was when a friend of mine referred to like what I thought I was just helping people book gigs, right? And she mentioned it was a school, and I stepped back and I was like, wow, it was. I talked to some mentors that I had in the songwriting world, and I said, hey, like I want to get where this can financially support me, so then I can have the freedom to write the music I want to write versus the music that just pays my bills.
Oh, I like that.
And so a little bit of structure went a long way in that world, just putting like simple foundations of like, how do we find students? How do we onboard students? How do we like retain students? And then managing like the teacher side of it, starting a payroll service to pay the teachers instead of like a cash-based or like me cutting check-based business.
Okay.
And then that helped me improve too my business sense on the songwriting side. Like I already had an attorney that was helping me. I already had union representation through ASCAP, and I already like had some of the protections there that I needed, but I started studying like the music business and studying different models of how it was working, different ways people were building their wealth and their world through it. Started looking at like, how do you invest as a musician? And that just kind of got me more and more passionate about the business side. And I found like, as I did that, my relationship with music changed. And I very honestly will tell you, I was never that person that was like so driven to create that like I was so committed to my art.
Uh-huh.
I recognized probably a year, 2 years into it that I was like, I could be committed to my art, which is probably haphazard and not that good, not that sellable, or I can crack the code on how to write a song that sells. Gonna do that because that's my fastest path to success.
Got it.
So I just kept finding myself like pivoting back to like the analysis side of music, or like running the business, growing my skill sets in that side of it versus the performance and artist side.
Got it. So it sounds like you were more interested in the growth development of the business instead of the passionate, I got you, I understand.
I
Good.
never had like the commitment to my art to be that person that would sit down and play for 8 hours.
Right.
Like I just wasn't that person. I was always looking for, I could do that, or I could analyze like, how can I jam this out in 2?
Got it.
And I was always going to jam it out in 2.
Yeah. All right, so now let's get to that part then. All right, so now you're doing your business, and you said a key word there, you said structure.
Yeah.
And you believe in structure.
Big time.
And
Didn't know it at that point, but now I know it's a foundation of everything for me.
Structure. So now you want to take this, you took your leap of faith, you did your music, now you're getting involved slightly in business. How the hell does that get from what you're doing there to real estate? Where does real estate come in?
That's a great question.
And that's the part that I'm most interested in, because a lot of people have their own career now, and they want to transition into this whole new world, this whole new career.
Yeah.
How the heck did you do it?
Well, so in music, I had a similar realization that I think the real estate industry is having right now. As I stepped back and I looked and I was like, man, I'm having to fight harder to get paid for what I do. The competition is getting thicker in what I do. The accessibility for people to have access to like the levels of people who helped me start my career is like getting easier, which means more people are coming in the door with more talent coming in the door, and compensation models are compressing all at the same time. And when, you know, I'm old enough that we saw like digital music really taking over to a point where like I got a royalty check, and it was such lunacy that like I was still deducted from my portion of what I had earned what's called a breakage fee. And breakage is for like back in those days when like you got your cassette tapes or your CD, they would account for what got broken in the manufacturing and shipment process, and like product that was just ruined because of it. They couldn't sell it because the jewel case was cracked, right?
Right.
Digital music, you were still charged breakage on.
But there's nothing that was broken.
There's nothing that's broken. But the model was still like, well, we've always done it, so we're going to keep doing it, and we'll pass the cost along.
Got it.
Like labels are really engineered to be almost like a marketing platform more than anything, and the artist is ultimately still paying for everything themselves. Mm-hmm. It's more of like a funding house for a passion, dream, or talent than anything. The label doesn't really carry much of the cost. The artist does, and it comes out of their compensation. So as I saw that happening, and I didn't see anything that was going to slow down, regulate, or change the path for digital media, I said, I think I've hit my ceiling on what I could earn in this industry. Not happy at that level, but I also don't see that changing. So what could I do that I'm really excited about still? And I happen to have a friend who I knew here in Santa Monica who was a commercial real estate agent, and she was looking for a part-time assistant. And I said, hey, I think I'm interested. She was like, doesn't pay great, but okay, let's give it a whirl.
And at this point, you're just looking for a job.
Just anything.
Got it.
Yeah, because I was ready for like that reinvention and that change and that shift, and to like totally find something new. And I knew I had always been interested enough in the business side and the analysis side. I knew I had the structures and like the mindset to be a really good admin for somebody. So I stepped into it, and it turns out she was running a really great commercial real estate business. It was herself, another agent who was a cold caller at the time, but was certainly grooming to be more of like a sales manager, leader of a team type personality, like great talent, great skill. And then I came in to fill the operations and administrative side. Like the builder in me, the structure person in me immediately was like, hey, I see like these areas where we could put foundations in the business, let's build them. So for about a year and a half, I worked with them and started building them. Grew a great commercial team.
This was all admin stuff though. You have
marketing, and ops.
Right,
yeah.
so you have yet to hit the sales part.
Yeah.
All right, so good. So let's go there. So how was this change, this new from entertainment field to admin? Was that easy?
It was, I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was simple.
Okay.
So it was simple, and that like my natural drives, my natural tendencies were able to thrive there. Okay. And I was able to be creative while still relying on like foundational principles that I had learned, like help me build my own business and apply them to somebody else. There was something really fulfilling in that.
Got it.
So we worked together for a year and a half, right here at Keller Williams, actually, which was really cool. Uh-huh. It was when KW Commercial was actually really young. I think it had just launched, and she was probably one of the first agents that came on board with it.
What year was that? Do you remember?
2008 to 10.
Got it.
I think I started with her like mid-2009, went for about a year and a half.
Okay.
And at the end of the year and a half, I stepped back and I looked around, and like we had merged with another team. We had grown a big business. And I was starting to have a frustration. And I thought maybe it was the growth I was frustrated with. But as I stepped back and looked, I said, I think I'm growing and I'm ready for a change. And I looked around at the team and I was like, I'm running the transaction file, the marketing, the systems, the back end. I understand all of that. The only piece I'm really missing is the client facing. And I think I'd be pretty good at that. Uh-huh. And so I took a leap of faith, got my license, and decided to get in the commercial brokerage as an agent at that point.
So that transition, let's talk about that transition from admin to client-based. I mean, that's a different world. How was that for you when you first got in front of your first client?
It's interesting. They say it's a different world, but I think that's a limiting belief, right? Because on the admin or the ops side, you still service a client. And I actually believe fully, like ops people, someone who's doing the marketing, the administrative side, the way they work and talk to clients is probably even more important than we as salespeople do. Okay. Because from the sales side, we put the deal together and we hope to hand it off to somebody who can care candidly for our business. And so when you hand that person off, someone who's not great at communicating with clients will kill your pipeline. And so it for me felt like even easier to have the conversations that I needed to have as an agent, because I fully understood what that process was, what the back end was, what their expectations would be, where fears would show up, and how like the process being solid could help calm all of that down and pull the emotions or the ego out of a transaction and replace it with confidence. That to me was a really important piece that I think had I not come from the operation and administrative side of the business, myself, my clients, and my team today would never feel that touch in our business.
So when it comes to, say, whether it's residential or commercial, why, I'm just curious before we go into commercial big time.
Yeah.
Why didn't you choose residential? Residential sales, from what I know.
This is going to sound like the laziest answer ever. Open houses sounded awful to me. Yeah. And like,
I mean, you don't really have to do much, being honest.
Possibly,
and you
right? Unless you're doing like the KW like 7th level open house model.
Right.
But just like putting out signs and picking up signs and baking the cookies, like the tomboy in me was just like,
you were being lazy.
No. Yeah, a little bit. And I was like, I I always struggled with being the person that would hold someone's hand and like hold their emotional need through the transition of their home. Like a home's a really precious thing.
Right.
And I think that takes someone who's really passionate about helping through that transition for a family.
You think residential requires a lot of emotions?
I think it all requires emotions. It's a different set of emotions.
You killed my question, because my next question was, does commercial entail any emotion?
Yeah, they both do.
Really?
But it's different sets. Like residential is life transition, family change, growth, change in what phase of life you're in, right? And that's your home. That's a very personal thing. Commercial tends to drive more ego, tends to drive fear, tends to drive panic, tends to drive like validation for what you're building for your family or what you're potentially putting at risk for your family.
But that whole list you just gave me on commercial sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it can be. And I think the best commercial agents identify their role not as like getting in the intensity with the client, but being the leader who like stands in the middle of the boat and steadies it when the water gets choppy. Like just really holds it. Like we can get emotional or we can come back to like data, analysis, facts, and make good decisions around it.
You enjoy working when the water's choppy? Yeah, I knew
it's fun.
I could see it in your eyes. I could see it in your eyes. This is why you love commercial so much. So let's get back to your little timeline. So you go into commercial, all right? This is going to be, well, not new for you, but going in front of facing clients is going to be new to you.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Really well. I think there's a misconception that like commercial is all numbers, all analytics, all like boys club, old school.
Well, isn't it?
It can be, but only if we let it be, right? And so what I found really great was that the more I participated in it and showed up with like almost maternal or nurturing characteristics for my clients, it was like they just turned on in front of me because there's been something missing from that environment that they've been hungry for. Like the legacy we can create through investment real estate and through commercial real estate can change the storyline for an entire family for generations. And, even from the way I was taught or the way that previous commercial agents have been taught, it's been like, you just hardball it, you be a shark in the water and look out for yourself. And that's in such disservice to our industry, to ourselves as agents, and to the clients that we work with. Because a family, I specialize in Venice Beach and throughout the West Side. So like a family who owns an apartment building in Venice Beach or a retail building in Venice Beach, they've probably held that for a while now. And they've watched incredible change happen in that community. So their family went from having a modest investment to growing to something that is worth multi-millions at this point.
Right.
And that deserves care. That deserves nurture. That deserves the respect of saying this is something really important you've built for your family, and how do we turn that to legacy?
What a great, the way you're doing it with this point of view of giving nurture and caring for them. This is the first I've ever heard about this, Alicia. I swear to God, this is amazing. It gives me goosebumps because you're right. You said sharks, and it can be that reputation in commercial to where let's just get it done, bada bing, bada boom. It's all about numbers, and you're bringing this whole new perspective to it. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it. I'm a mom. I have a 3-year-old little boy, and I think of it from like we need more mothers in the commercial realm, and not necessarily meaning women, but we need more of that. Like I will care. I will treat this with the respect it owns. I will hold some authority about like what you need to do to make the best decisions to get through this process.
Right.
And really just treating our clients like they're our friends and our friends like they're our clients.
Wow, that's awesome because I've never heard of that. And I've been doing real estate for almost 25 years. I've never heard that perspective. I think it's fantastic. So now you're rocking and rolling in the commercial department.
Yeah.
How'd you get your first client?
Cold calling.
Really?
That's how all commercial agents get their first client.
Tell me about that first client, that cold call you did.
Yeah.
Because those looking to get into real estate, listen, there's a whole bunch who want to do commercial. And maybe they'll see this video and they'll say, maybe I want to reach out to Alicia and maybe she can help me out. What's the best advice you can give them as far as cold calling?
Yeah, cold calling is all about numbers. It's quantity over quality. It's about asking good questions. It's about getting out of your beliefs on what could happen on the call and just pick up the phone and start the relationship.
Were you nervous?
Yes, but it's like I don't even like to tell agents that like you should be nervous or I was nervous because you get through like your first 3 and then you're like, well, I didn't die today. Let's go. Like, it's just the rest of your life. Just keep dialing. It's like finding Nemo, like the fish, like just keep swimming, just keep swimming. I always tell my agents on my team, just keep calling, and it'll get you there. Because the follow through is what's so important. so many agents throw in the towel when they're probably 5 calls away from their next meeting,
Yeah.
or 1 follow-up away from that
I so
lead
believe that.
converting to
I
a
so believe
transaction.
that. I so believe that. I think so many people quit too early when they're just around the corner of that success. So you got
Always.
your,
And it's always too soon to quit.
Right.
There's never a point that you should say it's time to quit. It's always too soon.
There's a famous quote by Wayne Gretzky, one of my famous quotes that I actually live by.
Hockey guy.
Yeah, it's you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yep.
And I highly believe that. What did you do? So you got your first client, you're rocking and rolling, you tasted victory, you loved it. How did you make this into a, because we're going to talk about what you've done lately soon. How did you say, you know what, I actually want to develop this into something crazy good?
Oh, that's a...
Because at least you've created something crazy good.
I think I have, and I appreciate that.
And we'll talk about that, but how did you say, you know what, it's time for me to take this to the next level?
That started with me first stepping into like a leadership role with other agents. So I was at a different brokerage at the time that's a super old school, like foundation of the industry type brokerage. And they have some great practices and principles, but they also have a lot of room for improvement, specifically on where like new agents have clarity on their path in the industry, where women have room in the industry and their mindset around women in the industry. And so in that brokerage, like most commercial brokerages, once you start having success in sales, they start saying, okay, we have new junior agents come in, they're gonna work under you, you're gonna mentor them for a set number of transactions, and that's it. And so as I took on new agents, I took it to heart of, I'm not going to mentor anybody the way I was mentored. I'm not going to just set someone in front of a phone, say, go find some phone numbers, good luck, kid, and don't talk to me until you have a deal put together.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, super. And it's, again, in disservice to our clients. Like the few transactions I had at that point, I was already in love with being in service to my client. And I was determined that the agents who I worked with and who worked with me were going to feel that love, whether they chose to adopt it or not. But I wasn't going to change my standard around how I worked with clients or coached them too. So I started getting some junior agents. My junior agents showed up really fully in the market center, or not market center there, brokerage there, right? They showed up really excited about their businesses. They were giving feedback to other like newer agents like, wow, Alicia's doing this with me and she's coaching me forward. She's having coaching conversations. She's having me track my numbers. We put together a business plan, like some of the basic pieces that anyone should do in a new business to put structure and that foundation. And it worked. My new agents were having like more success. There was more retention than they saw in other agents leading new agents in the brokerage, and it went well. And as I started to really get into it, I identified a coach for myself outside of that brokerage who really was great in helping me have like a CEO level mindset in a very male dominated industry, but leading with my compassion, my femininity, my energy in a way that I felt really like authentic to. And that's kind of when like the flame started for who I wanted to be for the industry.
Did you have something to prove?
Not at that point, but definitely like at a certain point we all reach ceilings, right? And just like I had met one in songwriting with that brokerage, I met a ceiling, and a lot of it was around their mindset with who women show up as in the commercial industry. And they're entitled to theirs, but I'm entitled to mine too. Right. And so as I hit that ceiling with them, I realized that probably wasn't the right brokerage for me to keep participating with as a woman in the industry, determined to like change the narrative of how we care for our clients and how we show up in the industry. And I found the right brokerage that was. Culture is a pillar of Keller Williams.
Right.
And so that made it really easy to identify that this was the brokerage I was going to make that change and transition through.
So you joined Keller Williams.
Yeah.
You get to create a whole new team, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Your commercial team. Let's talk about that. I researched you some, and it's called 270?
270 Commercial.
270 Commercial.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It's the latitudinal reference for West.
Got it.
So many of our clients that we work with have equity in California and are moving out. They're moving to places like Nevada, Arizona, Texas. They're moving along the coast as well. So the vision for our team is really growing the full investment platform, full service platform for our clients, so that with a singular team, singular focus on the integrity and level we serve our clients, they're able to have their entire real estate experience. And that experience is owning the reality. Only 5% of what we do in real estate is actually sales. There's so much more that goes around that. So we offer a full consultative service to our commercial clients. through, we now have agents on our team in Houston, Dallas.
Wow.
We've got one launching in Phoenix. We have our core team here in Santa Monica. We've also got one up in the Bay Area that's launching with us, and potentially one in Seattle.
Wow, talk about growth. But before we go into growth, you mentioned Venice, that you were a specialist in Venice. How did you tap into that market? Just, hey, I'm going to be the specialist here in Venice. I'm curious about that. How does somebody tap into a neighborhood?
Yeah, it's a choice to tap in. How do you identify that neighborhood is the first step. So I had started in West LA as my focus because that's what I got assigned at my previous brokerage, and I wasn't passionate about it. And my clients or potential clients don't deserve someone who's not passionate about that neighborhood. So I stepped back and I looked around and I said, where am I really passionate about the West Side? And I spent a few weekends like driving around and really feeling like, where am I excited to look at this real estate? Where's product that like I am curious about? Because it does no good if you look at something and you have no curiosity. So as I drove through Venice and I saw this incredible dynamic of artistry met technology, met long-term residents to this new demographic moving in, it was around 2012 I started saying, I'm really excited about what's happening here. There's a unique energy. When Snapchat hadn't even moved into the neighborhood yet, but we were starting to feel some like new energy in that neighborhood. And as an agent, I looked and I said, that's a pipeline I'm excited in. It's, again, I kind of like that choppiness. There's something going on there that I think is going to lead to a lot of opportunity, and that's going to have a lot of clients that need someone who not only is ready to lead with that like nurture and care, but also who gets like the artist personality. So
okay, so you cruised, so you cruised through Venice, and so I mean, how did you actually like get your first client in Venice? Is what I'd like to know. How did you like?
Yeah.
Was it cold calling again? People in Venice?
Yeah.
Owners in Venice?
Cold calling owners in Venice.
Really?
That was it. Pull the farm of all the properties that I wanted to be in service to and that I wanted to build a relationship with, research the phone numbers, and just start calling.
Cool. So the key here is to build a relationship. You didn't have a relationship already built with these people.
No.
You actually had to create it from brand new.
Yeah.
And it can happen.
All day.
You did it.
Anywhere.
It doesn't have to be you have to rub elbows with these people. Hey, I know this guy. Hey, give me a shot. You create a brand new relationship.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And you pick up the phone like ready to step up to earn the right to that relationship. That's probably the biggest like mindset change I think most commercial agents can have is like, don't call the client asking what are they going to do for you. Call the client and say, what do you need from me today? Okay. What am I going to do today to earn the right to be in a relationship with you? So when you need to do something in real estate, you know I'm your trusted advisor. You know you can count on me, and you know no matter what, I've got your back.
Wow, amazing. Let's talk about the different special areas, I guess, specializations under the umbrella of commercial.
Yeah.
What's under the umbrella of commercial real estate?
So here in Los Angeles, multifamily by agent count tends to be the titan.
Can you be specific? Multifamily apartments?
Yeah, 5 units and up apartment buildings.
Got it.
There's 2 to 4 units, but that's technically still residential.
Right.
So 5 units and up is where a commercial agent can really add specialization. And if you are doing those, you probably need to bring a commercial agent in just because the dynamic of the transaction changes.
Okay.
There's office, retail, industrial. I specialize in urban infill development. Single tenant triple net, which would be like drive-throughs or Starbucks, Walgreens. Mixed-use shopping centers, mixed-use development, mixed-use buildings. We also see land. We see transit-oriented development,
That's a whole bunch of stuff.
Senior housing. Yeah, I mean, there's probably a collection of 20 to 25 real product types going on throughout, because throughout LA, you still even have like student housing or HUD.
Oh my gosh. I thought there was like 5 of them. There's a whole bunch.
Yeah, it can be very dynamic. And that's where in commercial specialization is truly what helps a good agent become a great agent through pipeline. Because if you don't specialize and you just say, I'm going to do a little bit of everything, there's no way you truly add fiduciary value to a client in like practicing all of them a little bit.
So what would be best to specialize in one of the items under that umbrella?
Yeah, to pick like one product specialization, 1 to 2 service specializations, 1 at first and maybe grow into 2. And then also picking like your location that you're going to become just the master of, the authority of, the go-to person for when someone says, what's happening on that corner? They go, I'm going to call you because I know you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now you give boot camp classes. You talked about that.
Yeah.
You give commercial boot camp classes. Would somebody who attends these classes learn everything under that umbrella?
They would. The boot camps that I do, they happen regionally and they're from time to time. Boot camp will give you pretty much like a broad brush experience of what are the products, what are the services, why specialization matters, how to build a core database that you can actively speak to in a systematic way 8 times a year, along with touch systems and marketing systems, how to truly become a product specialist, and then very basic introduction to underwriting and like the lending around commercial, because it's 180 from what we see on residential. Beyond the boot camp, we also offer like an 8-week launch program for new commercial agents or someone who wants to be a commercial agent, where it is an 80-hour course that they go through to learn the foundations of quickly launching their commercial business.
Got it. Let's talk about the affiliates you personally are associated with. Because I
Yeah.
know you are. You're not just doing real estate here in the office. You're also affiliated with real estate groups outside the office in the community.
Yeah.
Which are those?
So real estate groups would be, I'm a member of ICSC. I participate with CREW. I've been on boards of neighborhood councils throughout the community. I participate actively with other neighborhood councils, including Venice, Santa Monica. I participate in the downtown Santa Monica Business District.
Busy.
So that's like from the client-facing side, like what am I doing to be involved with the community to really add value to my client's experience?
That's the reason I'm asking. So is there a reason why you are so involved in these organizations?
Can't authentically be an expert if you're not.
Got it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so through doing those, I'm able to create value for my clients by they don't have to show up to them. If I get that information for them, I'm able to then convey it to them and kind of see in our crystal ball visioning of where is the market going, what's happening. Without being active in those types of organizations, you're not really keeping a true pulse on the market. You're just guessing.
Lesson being go out there and get in the waters and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
That being said, there's a lot of, I want your opinion on this, there's a lot of, there's a crisis we have going on right now with rent.
Yeah.
Especially in the West Side, West Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Venice, all that stuff. Rent is just getting, high. It's getting very, very much. What's your take on I don't know, keeping that under control?
How do we keep it under control? We have to build more. We'll never rent control ourselves out of the problem that we're in.
We have to build more what?
More apartments.
Okay.
More units, and have more creativity around the units that we create. So I actually just talked with the Argonaut last week about this, and so
I read the article. That's what I'm asking.
That's funny. Right now we've got these very like cookie cutter expectations of like what a apartment unit should be, how we should be building them, and who we should be building them for. And with younger generations moving into Los Angeles, millennials getting into the rental market, the housing desires have changed a little bit. And rather than building like high-end luxury units that are 2 and 3 bedroom units, we really should be looking at our inventory of 1 bedroom units, 2 bedroom units that are designed specifically for roommates. Or there's now these new creative components where it's like cohabiting things where like you have almost like a dorm room style room, and then it's shared living rooms, shared kitchens, shared bathroom experiences, and some of them have private baths still. Like there's 100 different ways to design living quarters for people, and there's 100 different choices for how people want to live.
Right.
So the more that we untether the regulation around like what housing looks like and get more into curiosity about what housing could be for the people that are going to live in it, I think that's how we start to solve it.
Now, is that where the SRO comes in?
So SRO is single room occupancy. That's going to be very similar to like college dorm style building, but different quality, obviously. So small, what we call micro units. Micro units are going to be under 500 square feet, which sounds insane. But when you think about, I'll use Hulu as an example. You think about someone who works for Hulu, they go to work, they have a full commercial kitchen that they can be at play with, like fully stocked all the time. They've got game rooms, they've got lounge areas, and Hulu has all that because they want them to be there as much as possible. To reduce the cost that someone has for housing so that they can take that job to go work with Hulu and pour that economy into our local energy here is a really important choice. Because they don't need everything in a traditional apartment that maybe we would have needed 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Technology's enabled us to need less from our homes and to be able to think differently about how we work with them. Now, that's not saying everyone works for Hulu, right? We still need that traditional housing, that traditional model for the people who want that. But if we can mix it up a little bit and offer different opportunities for people, I think we'd be able to see a better control on our rent, better control on our housing. And ultimately, rent comes back to supply and demand. If we have more housing available, the demand is going to come down because the supply has gone up. It's the only way we get rent under control is no community rent controls in has actually brought down the cost of rent. The market rent continues to climb. The only ones that benefit are the ones who choose to never move. Santa Monica is a great example of where that's actually gone astray sometimes, because you have someone who economically never needed to increase to keep up with the market. And so now they're somewhat trapped where they are, whether they want to move or not,
right?
Because they don't have the income, the savings, the like foundations or the structure to be able to change that reality for themselves.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into you've gone from the entertainment field, writing music, to admin, to commercial, to creating your own team. I mean, now you're at the top. Maybe, I'm sure you can get higher, but let's go
plenty room to go still.
Plenty of room to go to. Let's go to how commercial real estate in general has changed your life. And I want you to think about this. Has that been what you expected?
No, and I'm so glad it wasn't. When I got into commercial, my expectation of what being a commercial real estate agent was about as small as the industry has defined it so far. And being with KW Commercial here out of Keller Williams has been really incredible at lifting the lid of what possibility is and what opportunity is within it. And it really gave me the courage to take the call on, I don't want to just be an agent and only be in service to my clients. I still love that and I'm very passionate about it and committed to it. But I really take ownership of, if I believe this is an industry that has room for growth, I believe we need to change the way we collaborate and train one another to move our industry forward so that we can create a better experience for our clients. I'm not okay waiting for someone else to do it any longer. And the models and systems that this brokerage has gave me the belief and the understanding that, like, I can do it. I can change it. I don't have to wait for someone else to do it or wish it was different. I just take to task to get it done. And so in that path of learning what my career in commercial real estate looks like, I've really taken ownership of, like, my legacy is changing the industry. My choice is to do that through training and nurturing agents in a different way than's ever happened. Because that creates a better experience for my clients, for the agents, for the brokerages involved, the whole environment and ecosphere essentially around commercial real estate gets to change by my choice to change my thought about the industry.
What's your personal benefits of being a commercial real estate agent?
Personal benefits of being commercial real estate
agent. When you're giving
agent.
and you're giving and you're giving, what do you receive that makes it like, yeah, this is so worth it?
Man, I feel like I'm playing all day.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I put my feet on the ground, like, just a little bit giddy about what I get to do that day. And a little excited about who am I going to help grow? Who am I going to be in service to? Who do I get to make a difficult phone call for today? And how am I going to navigate that so I get a great result for them?
That's so incredible. You consider yourself a trailblazer?
I've never thought of it in that way, but yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would. I mean, specifically with commercial training, I think that's a really, I'm taking a new approach to it. And I think it was vital, and I think I'm kind of figuring it out as it goes. And as I get feedback on what others feel is missing, I'm making sure I fold that in. So yeah, a trailblazer, but always with leaders like beside and front and behind me that are helping figure out what that path looks like.
Yeah. Alicia Shepherd, where can people find you?
You can find me at 270commercial.com, nucleuscre.com, A Shepherd, SHEPHERD at kwcommercial.com. And then on Facebook, come find me. I'm the crazy redhead. Easy to find.
You just type in Alicia Shepherd.
Alicia Shepherd, you'll find me. That's it.
You said it, not me, the crazy redhead?
Crazy redhead.
All right.
There's not many of us in commercial.
And of course, they can contact you if they have any questions or if they're interested in some of your education that you have to offer, all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
You'd be more than willing to help them out.
All day.
Promise?
Promise.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for it.
Hey, thanks for watching this last video. Hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. Hey, do us a favor. If you think a family member or a friend would also enjoy it, why don't you share it with them? I guarantee it, they're going to get something out of it. In addition, if you have any comments, questions, or a topic you want us to discuss, hey, leave it down in the comment section. And one last thing. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the hell are you waiting for? Do it right now. Hope to see you next week.